Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. Let's take this hat off. Okay, we are in the Basic Fantasy book. I need to get me a hat for this book series. That'll be specifically for the series in the future. In this video, we're going to go over how to create a character for Basic Fantasy, and I'll go over some of the character creation process in greater detail in this video, and then in a little bit lesser detail as I individually create the different classes. But in this video, we'll also touch upon the races that you have a choice of, so that way you know how what their restrictions are if you want to play them in this game. So your ability scores for this game is Strength, Intelligence, Wisdom, Dex, Constitution, Charisma. At least that's the order they have them listed in their example character sheet. If you wanted to switch them around to a standard D&D Pathfinder layout, you could do that. Now, there is something very important about creating a character for this game. You roll 3 6-sided dice for each ability score, and you write the results next to their name in order. Now, if you're very unhappy with your scores you rolled, you can ask your game master for advice, and they may allow some point exchange from stat to stat, or allow you to flip one stat from one ability to the other. After you roll all that, the ability scores don't get as high bonuses as they would in Pathfinder or D&D. Here's the ability score table. If you roll a 3 for your score, you get a -3 penalty. If you roll a 4 or a 5, you get a -2 penalty. If you roll a 6 through an 8, you get a -1 penalty. You roll a 9 through a 12, you get no penalty score whatsoever, no bonus either. You roll a 13 through a 15, you get a +1. You roll a 16 through 17, you get a +2. You roll an 18, you get a +3. So, an 18 is the best you can get, and will only give you a +3 in this game. After that, you would pick what race you are, and you would pick what class you are. Now, with the races, you gotta follow their minimum requirements, or what restrictions they have. So here's dwarves. Dwarves may become clerics, fighters, or thieves. They are required to have a minimum constitution of 9. So one of your stats, the constitution specifically, needs to be a 9 or better if you want to play a dwarf. Due to their generally dour dispositions, they may not have a charisma higher than 17. They may not employ large weapons more than 4 feet in length, specifically 2-handed swords, polearms, and longbows. And then dwarves get some special abilities. They have dark vision 60 feet. They have the ability to detect slanting passages, traps, shifting walls, and new construction. They roll a 1d6, and on a 1 or a 2, they succeed. And a search must be performed before the roll may be made. So you have to have time to search. Dwarves' saving throw bonus is a +4 versus Death Ray or Poison, Magic Wands, Paralysis or Petrify, and Spells, and a +3 versus Dragon's Breath. That said, let me look at the example character sheet, and I'll go over all the different saves you get. This is very reminiscent of 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons. Your first saving throw is Death/Poison. Your second one is Wands. Your third one is Paralysis/Stone. Your fourth one is Dragon's Breath. And your last one is Spells. Now, let's look at the elves. Elves may become clerics, fighters, magic users, or thieves. They are also allowed to combine the class of fighter and magic user, and of magic user and thief. They are required to have a minimum intelligence of 9. Due to their generally delicate nature, they may not have a constitution higher than 17. Elves never roll larger than 6-sided dice for hit points. So if your class would get a higher dice, elves only roll a 6-sided dice. All elves have dark vision with a 60-foot range. So this is the part that I don't like, but I come from a different version of D&D than this. I would say elves have low light vision and use the rules for low light vision. They are able to find secret doors more often than normal, 1 through 2 on a 1d6 rather than a 1 on a 1d6. An elf is so observant that one has a 1 in 1d6 chance to find a secret door with a cursory look. Elves are immune to the paralyzing attacks of ghouls. Also, they are less likely to be surprised in combat, reducing the chance of surprise by 1 in 1d6. Saving throws. Elves save at a +1 versus paralysis or petrify, and a +2 versus magic wands and spells. Next is the halflings. Restrictions. Halflings may become clerics, fighters, or thieves. So halflings can't become wizards, sort of like dwarves can't become wizards. They are required to have a minimum dexterity of 9. Due to their small stature, they may not have a strength higher than 17. Halflings never roll larger than a 6-sided dice for hit points, regardless of class. Halflings may not use large weapons and must wield medium weapons with both hands. Special abilities. Halflings are usually accurate with all sorts of ranged weapons, gaining a +1 attack bonus when employing them. When attacking in melee by creatures larger than man-sized, a halfling gains a +2 bonus to their armor class. Halflings are quick-witted, thus adding +1 to their initiative die roll. Outdoors, in their preferred forest terrain, they are able to hide very effectively. So long as they remain still, there is only a 10% chance they will be detected. Even indoors, in dungeons, or in non-preferred terrain, they are able to hide such that there is only a 30% chance of detection. Note that a halfling thief will roll only once using either the thief ability or the halfling ability, whichever is better. Saving throws. Halflings save at a +4 versus death ray or poison, magic wands, paralysis or petrify, and spells, and a +3 versus dragon's breath. The last race you have to choose from is humans. Restrictions. Humans may be any single class. They have no minimum or maximum ability score requirements. Special abilities. Humans learn unusually quickly, gaining a bonus of 10% to all experience points earned. So if you wanted to level faster in the game, you would want to be a human. Humans are the standard and thus have no saving throw bonuses. Combination classes. To become a member of a combination class, a character must meet the requirements of both classes. Combination class characters use the best attack bonus and the best saving throw values of their original 2 classes, but must gain experience equal to the combined requirements of both of these base classes to advance in levels. Elves are the only characters eligible to be members of one of these combination classes. Fighter/magic user. Magic user/thief. And then you have the classes, of course, that you would pick from. You could be a cleric. You could be a fighter. You could be a magic user or a thief. The cleric would have spells, but at first level they do not have any spells. So playing a cleric would be a little bit more challenging at low level. in a sense that you're like an armored priest, but you don't get any spells until 2nd level. So let me see if there's anything else under character creation. After doing that, you would roll your hit dice that is appropriate, either D6s from your race or cleric gets a D6 hit dice, a fighter gets a D8 hit dice, a magic user gets a D4 hit dice. So if you're an elf or well, elf would be the only one that qualifies out of the other races. If you're an elf magic user, you'd only get a D4. And if you're a thief, you only get a D4. So if you're a halfling thief, you'd only get a D4 for your hit points. And if you were a halfling fighter, you'd only get your racial hit dice, which would be a D6 instead of the D8. Okay. Now you'd have to go and purchase your equipment. So you'd roll for your starting money. Generally, your character will start with 3d6 times 10 gold pieces. But ask the game master before rolling in case they have something specific going on, whether they give you more, less, maximum, or starting you all out like the way I usually like to start them out. I start them out as, and this isn't every game. My favorite way to start them out is start them out as slaves. You've been captured, you've been bound together, you have nothing. If you're a magic user, if you require a spell book, I haven't read deep into magic users yet. If you require a spell book, you don't have the spell book, but it is being taken with you guys because it's in the wagon that would have all the, or cart that would have all the equipment from you guys that was taken. And then I just roll randomly and see what equipment's there when they get free and a chance to explore. Or I could start them out in a cell, same situation. They were captured, their stuff was brought here. They might not find their spell book, but they could find a spell book. And I'd just say there's spells in it that you didn't know when you got here, and this writing looks a little foreign to you. And then from there, I would roll randomly or pick what spells would be in it. But for the most part, that's how you create a character for basic fantasy. And we briefly went over the races. There's only I skipped the description of each of the races, the only thing I really skipped. So in the next video in this series is going to be creating a cleric. So until we all game again, guys.